think anyway. Welcome everyone to the International Webinar Ambassador and Young Leaders Meet 2020 with me, Dunia, who will accompany our guest speakers and moderators as the master of ceremony during this event. The theme of this event will discuss science and technology. This event will run for 2 hours from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Jakarta time, which will be moderated by Mr. Beal for the first session and Mr. Zin for the second session. This event aims to stimulate a sense of awareness of the significance of international competitiveness, extensive networking, and global collaboration among Indonesian people. The ultimate goal is to overcome the present-day global crisis and seek for an opportunity to lead the world. Furthermore, please allow me to introduce our great speakers for today's session. Our speakers are Mr. Wirawa Anaditya Wicaksana, the President of Institute Pertanian Bogor Student Council; Mr. Muhammad Zainal Arifin, the President of Sebelas Smart University Student Council; and Mr. Santiago Wibowo, the President of Telkom University Student Council. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that during this event, we are also raising funds for COVID-19, especially for our medical team who are at the forefront in fighting COVID-19. If you want to donate, please refer to the bank account number or scan the QR codes as shown below on your screen. Thank you very much to all of you who have already contributed to the donation. Without further ado, I will pass the event to our first moderator, Ms. Sabil.
Sorry. Thank you, Master of Ceremony. My name is Sabil. I will moderate Mr. Birawa Ananditya Wicaksana as the President of Institute Bogor Students' Council. And first of all, I would like to inform that our speakers today will discuss about the role of science and technology. And there will be a Q&A session with this discussion with the speakers after the presentation. And for those who will have questions, write your name and your country followed by your question. Okay, the constant invention of new technologies has helped us survive different challenges in the past. Today, technology has entered into various aspects in our lives, such as politics, economics, and health. We are now in a time where everything is completely automated and connected with another. This is a term we familiarly address as the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Industrial Revolution 4.0 requires us as humans to be able to adapt to the increasingly rapid technology. For instance, in developed countries, many robots are used as waiters in restaurants. The current pandemic, which is currently occurring worldwide, demands for countries to develop a new technology that can combat this outbreak and end the global crisis once and for all. However, there is one issue that needs to be addressed. As developed as our technologies today, the full potential of technology cannot be realized to serve their purposes as intended if global leaders possess low digital literacy. Therefore, they will be unable to utilize these technologies. Thus, it is critical that future emerging leaders are able to keep up with the constantly advancing technologies and use their full potential for the good of the country. So this session will discuss the role of science and technology in combating COVID-19 as well as preparing Indonesian global emerging leaders for a society where human and technology will live alongside one another. Okay, and now Mr. Birawa, the time for the presentation is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sabil, for the time and the committee. My name is Birawa Ananda Wicaksana, and currently I'm the president of IPB Student Council, executive president. So in this session, I would like to talk to you about the science and technology, especially in agricultural sector, because this is my main point of view as the IPB University is my topic is currently the leader in agriculture studies. So uh, I have some slide that will help me to guide my session. Can the committee please come up with the my slide? Okay, COVID-19 pandemic, which is originally health problem, has also become a major social and economic problem in many other areas because the effort to stop this pandemic also make the many sectors like economic and social sectors to be disturbed, especially in agricultural sector. Agriculture sector always have disturbed by this pandemic, and that's why I would like to talk to all of you who are currently viewing this session. I would like to talk about digital transformation in Indonesia agricultures, what's happening right now, and what next. So we can plan as a young people, we can planning ahead before the next pandemic will come, and we cannot prepare for it. Next, please. So, what's happening right now? Some sectors are indispensable and should continue to run through, but agricultural sectors are some of them. Because we need food to live and our food resources because we have so many good soil and also we have so many trees, plantation, our paddy rice is very good that makes Indonesia as a country that really interesting in agriculture sector. In the first place, we as a country we're not an industrial country. We are not Japan, we are not America, but we are Indonesia, a unique country that the prosperity of the civilization here were happen because our agricultural technology. So what happening right now? In the slide, I show you the three top topic that happening right now. The first topic is about this because the COVID-19, the technology in greenhouse and open field innovation uh, make the future very bright here. And the second trend is about plantation in the house. And there are many startups who occupy in this area. And the third one is also a startup area because the prediction that agricultural startup will still soaring high because this new normal. And so this is what happening right now. Our technology disturb anything, especially in agricultural sector. So what I want to tell you about that maybe until now disruption on agricultural outputs by social distancing protocol has not widespread in Indonesia because mainly most planting areas continue to harvest as scheduled. In the February, the region in Java, Riau, and West Borneo still produce a surplus paddy rice. But however, we must understand that the good harvest we get today were planted and grown several months before social distancing protocol were enacted. The real challenge for agricultural sector during this pandemic will take place on the next planting session. And when is on the next planting session? It is now. So especially if prolonged pandemic will take place, next planting session will be disturbed. So we need technology, we need a science to understand more about the pandemic because as you can see, agricultures were our not number one contribution in GDP right now, but it's still very high. Our export of agricultural products still soaring high right until right now. So it will impact many economic structure if the agricultural sector is disturbed. Next. So when we talk about technology and science in agriculture, there are many innovation, there are many invention that happening right now. Each year, there are some scientists who created many innovation, but the problem is not the amount of the innovation. The problem is that how the innovation uh, that created by the scientists can be implemented in our rural agriculture in the village. That is the problem because as you can see, this is my personal experience. I ever go to some village, and when I talk about our technology and science advancement in agricultural area, they said to me that, oh no, We already in agriculture sector for 20 years. You only just learn in a few months. So why do we have to listen to you about what happening about agriculture right now? We can do it by ourselves. These kind of resilience are still the hardest things that we face nowadays. So it's not about the innovation, it's about how the innovation can be transferred to many villages that's still contributing in agricultural sector in Indonesia, and that's really happening. That's why we don't just need about technological or science advance, but we need also the innovation in social advancement, in communication advancement, how we can transform the society so it can be more resilient, because science and technology, that's the problem. So every one of you who are listening like right now in the overseas, I encourage you to come home to Indonesia, and then we together face the people in the village, in the rural area that cannot be penetrated by internet and many other technological things. We give them some education, we give them some study, so they can be more resilient, because the problem in the COVID-19 is not in the urban area, it's not in the city, it's not in Jakarta, it's not in Bandung, it's not in Jogja, but it's happening in the marginal people who are still ensuring their revenue from the in the traditional agricultural sector. Next, so what happened next? What do we need to prepare to face the challenge? Because I believe the COVID-19 will not be the last pandemic that we will face. COVID-19 were really bad, yes, but I believe if we don't prepare the future, it will be a bigger disaster than COVID-19. So in my session right now, I would like to talk to you about agricultural digital transformation framework. Sorry. Next, this digital transformation agricultural framework will help us to guide us to creating technological and science advancement in agriculture, and in order to help our society right here in Indonesia. I mainly divide it into three topics: the strategy, operation, and the market. The strategy is about planning, implementation, and auditing. This is the most important thing about agriculture. Agriculture is not just about production and harvest, but it is also about planning. As you can see, COVID-19 is just one of the byproduct of the climate change. The other product of climate change is the changing climate, of course, and there are many areas that the drought is really long, and there's also the rain season is really long. This planning is really important because it defines how we can succeed in the 3 months of the harvesting. So our people in the village, our people who work in agriculture sector, can plan ahead. What next? What will be the next challenging that they are facing right now? So planning is really important, and nowadays the planning is really what can I say? Really cool, because we already use the big data to plan something. We There are many startup right now who work in planning area. They use the big data, they use the survey, they use the satellite area to make the planning, implementation, and auditing problem to be more concrete, to be more productive. So when we say the strategy is also important in the digital transformation. Next, after strategy, the next is the operation. This is the main thing that we always see about agriculture. We see the production, we see the harvest, and we see the post-harvest. But this is just one from the third process. The production area is really important because in this area we decide what plant that we need to produce, what plants can be resilient in this area. So this is the important thing, and the harvesting also. Maybe you already know from the Hollywood movie, and then you compare with our agricultural technology right now, as we can see, the advancement of harvest technology in America or in Japan and in any other country like Thailand and Philippines, they are really really good at harvesting. So the product is really fresh and the product can have a much more higher price than in Indonesia. And also in many ways the harvest technology also can make our agriculture's sector to be more expensive in another country because there are many certain limitation that happen in Indonesia harvest right now. You know, the product usually have to be certified to go to some other markets like in Europe and like in much more in the Asia region. There need some standard, you know, and also that's also the post harvest. And the third sector is the market. This is also the most important about agriculture digital transformation. And for me, right now the many startups still or tech and science advancement still focusing in market driven based on data, business intelligence, distribution channel, digital marketing, social media marketing, and also online retail via e-commerce. Online retail via e-commerce is the nowadays thing, you know, in Jakarta, in many urban area, because people in this area were afraid to go to market, which open market, which is can make the COVID-19 much more severe and the inflation rate is higher. So online retail e-commerce like Tani Hub, Sayur Box, and many like and Gojek also is really a thing right now, and this is happening in Indonesia. Social media marketing and digital marketing is also happening right now. So we can expect in the future in the future year, maybe 1 or 2 years from right now, will be a celebgram who endorse about agriculture product. Like maybe we can expect Anya Geraldine someday in the future will talk about, wow, this apple is really healthy. Wow, this paddy is really good. We can expect that in 1 or 2 years and maybe and maybe the years ahead. Also, the distribution channel. The distribution channel of the market in Indonesia is still the big problems right now, because this is the sector who make uh, our our price in agriculture. What we buy right now is not the price that were collected by the people who harvest it, but in the distribution channel. So this is a problem. We can, and I also know that there is some startup who move in this area with a blockchain and many other things. Business intelligence and market driven based on data. This is also the new thing that happened in Indonesia. There is Hara, a startup that collect a sample soil from many others area, so they can analyze which type of soil is best for palm oil, which type of soil is best for paddy, and after that we can plan ahead and implementation how the agriculture movement will take place in a few years. So this agriculture digital transformation is not the next actually, but it is happening right now. It is happening right now, and it's happening in really really fast. So for me, we cannot comprehend it sometimes. But still, the problem is not the amount of the innovation. The problem is how the innovation can be transferred in the village, because Indonesia is very wide and there are so many islands here. So we cannot focus on Java or Borneo anymore. We also need to focus in how about the peoples in Papua, in West Nusa Tenggara, and many and the west side or in the east side of Indonesia. We need to implement our technology to them. So this need of innovation need many young peoples need many young people who not also smart, but also have a willingness to transfer the innovation that happening in our university to them. So in order to build Indonesia agriculture digital transformation, it couldn't be happen if just 1% or 2% or 3% who do it, but it needs to be a colossal movement that we need to do it, and we need to do it right now because we cannot wait another pandemic happen in Indonesia. Even COVID-19 is not yet finished in Indonesia, even though many other countries are already finished fighting COVID-19. So to young people who hear my voice right now, and I encourage all of you to come to Indonesia with me and many other students here, so we can make a colossal movement to transform the social agriculture and social economy in village area with digital transformation, with the technology that we have right now. So it will be so Indonesia will be a nation that prosperity and can make the people who live here happy. So maybe that's all from me about technology and science. Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Birawa, for your valuable presentation. And I think from the presentation of Mr. Birawa, it can be concluded that there are a lot of innovation that happens in agricultural aspect, but unfortunately, it is not applicable enough in some rural area in Indonesia. So according to Mr. Birawa, we are as the young generation of Indonesia, we have a responsibility to educate people in rural area about this agricultural digital transformation to make the development of Indonesia's agricultural. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Birawa. Okay, for the next session will be moderated by my friend, Mr. Zain.
Hello. All right. Um, Thank you to my friends, Sister Sabil, for giving me the time. My name is Zain, and I will guide the next session of this webinar. Uh, as a reminder, there will be a Q&A session and discussion with the speakers after the presentation. For those who have question, please write your name, your country or region, followed by your question. We'll choose the best question from the audiences for the speakers to answer. Before I start to the next speaker, I'd like to remind about one of the purpose of this webinar. One of the purpose is to help the frontliners who are fighting against COVID-19. If you want to donate, please refer to the scan the QR code attached on the screen, or you can also send through the account number attached on the screen. Without waiting any longer, let's give the time to the president of Universitas 11 Maret Student Council, Muhammad Zainal Arifin, to give his presentation. Mr. Muhammad Zainal Arifin, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everybody.
Salam.
First time I will speak to thank you for the committee who has ordained this webinar event. I hope what we talk about will have an impact and future resolution for our campus and our country. Then let us for a moment pray for the doctor who are still the guardian for healing COVID-19. Uh, and then please the committee can share our presentation. The committee can share my presentation. Okay, while we waiting the committee share my presentation, I will to spill uh, what can I talk about this event. Next, I will talk about the role of science and technology in the pandemic era. Okay, well, the committee still prevent about share my presentation. I will spill and ask to your audience about my this this discussion about the technology and science. I think science and technology in our country, especially Indonesia, is really uh, we can discuss about science and technology versus pandemic, science and technology versus COVID-19. Who will win? In closing, we can conclude who will win about between science and technology or sci tech or pandemic COVID or COVID-19. We can think in this discussion who will win about science and technology between virus. Nah, the committee has has done present our presentation. I will talk about the role of science and technology. The first time, I'm Muhammad Janal Arifin from Civil Engineering 11 Maret University, Surakarta or Solo, in East Java. Next, on this event, I will talk the progress of science and technology in Indonesia is a potential against the pandemic and to overcome the domino effect of COVID-19, post-pandemic or while pandemic, and we can see the possibility to influence the world. How past event we has done. Next, next, yes. What has been done? The our country has been done against the pandemic and to overcome to the domino effect to COVID-19. How does LIPI overcome COVID-19 outbreak? In the first developing PPE crossing process made from antibacterial on fabric material through surface modification, and then developing nanomask, then patient naso nasopharyngeal swab and genome sequencing to invent the novel vaccine, and the last undertaking an affordable mobile ventilator as a res- respiratory aid. On this uh, point, the effort of the states through LIPI versus COVID. And then next, we can see our campus. Also, in general, the many campus or many university, the effort versus COVID-19. Next, yeah, uh, the many campus or many university institute and age, uh, we we has been done the effort versus COVID-19. In my campus, 11 Maret University, in uh, our contribution this year, the Ministry of Research and Technology, or BRIN, has budgeted fund amounting to 60 billion 899 million 715 for the COVID-19 Research and Innovation Consortium. Of the total budget, 11 Maret University or UNS obtained research funding of 2 million 342,778 137. This contribution, many campus, especially my campus or my universities, uh, to contribute the COVID-19 about the innovation, about scientists, about technology. Next, and then next step, this is next step to forever. We can see about the graphic of new normal. Next, we can see the graphic new normal. This is a graphic search covid19.go slash peta sebaran retrieved on 25 June 2020. We can ask, new normal estimates the average daily confirmed case of 1.160. It is reasonable. Let's think. Reasonable or not? Let's think. Nowadays, this occurrence. This is the state recommendation for from the Gajah Mada University to the country toward a new normal. The many point, reasonable or not, in first point is people currently find their own system that dangerously self-inflicted. Next, and this is graphic. Uh, the committee can be next. Okay, this is the many step when recommendation the Gajah Mada University to contribute the scientists and technology steps for our country to versus the COVID-19. The first point, people currently find their own system that dangerously self-inflicted. I snatched dead body of COVID-19 patient from hospital for burial. This is many cases in our country, in Maluku, in East Java. Uh, uh, I think in Solo, just in Solo. And then the second point, continuousness evolution a new normal, as it is only recognized at a certain level of society. And then health protocol supported by strict monitoring of those open public sector. And then new normal has allowed public uh, percep- perception index so that could potentially increase the active case transmission. In this era, this is low public perception in our civil society. Yes. Next. Next. Yes. Next. the point, the next point is holding on to survive by truly encourages all parties by data-based analysis. This is uh, the important point. Why I talk about the important point? Because uh, the government and society, we have parties by database analysis, because when the last data produced, the more ignorance of COVID-19, mitigation prepare of new normal. This is the less the produce. And then so the conclusion, when the database analysis is less, many provinces at risk of being overwhelmed beating COVID-19. This is the conclusion when we our country there are haven't have not practices by database analysis. We can see the early moment when pandemic in announced government by Joko Widodo, is less data, is less database analysis for versus COVID-19. And next, we can next talk about leadership cooperation. We can see the mixed thesis. We can see mixed thesis. The mixed thesis have 5 points. Is the factor why uh, next, next. Once again, next. Once again, to see slides about mixed thesis. Yes, this is we can see mixed thesis. Uh, Referring to the analysis mixed thesis, we can see the inaction of several countries in preventing the spread of COVID-19, especially our country, Indonesia. The main factor being that the state's leadership is still populism, which indicates that the context of science and technology is eliminated. And this is a highlight. Science and technology is eliminated. Plus, Indonesian people or Indonesian civil society are still conservative toward religion. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is used to provide welfare. Knowledge produce technological products such as jam. How China with how China with sophisticated technology can control the activities of its people. The people have chip so that the government can control one's movement, so that it can be known COVID dispersion 19. The same technology can also be used to demand transparency and accountability in politics. Technology can be used for productivity. For example, in the case of COVID-19, we can ask the media in the case our government can know about development of the COVID-19 case. For example, the number of PGP, the number of ODP, and AIDS. And the next, Yeah, we can think about when Trump said all is well. Trump said all is well. It turned out America actually takes a lot of victory from COVID-19. This happened because the Trump underestimates science and people do not trust scientists. Back to Harari statement to believe in science. This is many step for why we technology and decision making technology and decision making. In the first point, why technology between decision making. The first point, rethinking of science. People eventually float to return to pure science. Why science is glorified again? Because GIMBW law director Sonja Strauss says science has experienced degradation in the current era. The definition of truth become very political, depending on a stand political force. Even industries such as oil and gas and tobacco often reject the result of scientists, which is considered detrimental to them. There are people who actually believe the earth is flat. Yeah, uh, we actually believe the earth is flat than real astronomy. In the initial situation, the presence of the coronavirus virus was also accused as part of a political conspiracy. You feel that's too right. However, as corona outbreak intensified, eventually people flock to return to true science. They ask for a return to true science research. What scientists have done, what is term theory, and learn about exponential growth graph, about the number of positive people who have exploited corona. And the and the second point, why why uh, why information and big data. Yes, associated Professor Wang Fei from the Tsinghua University Institute of Safety Science and Technology has conducted research to Fosun City in order to help develop a pandemic management system. And the third point, uh, bureau- bureaucratic reform in the forward the virtual governance, convert to the digital meeting in preventing in the virus transmission, and then digital life shifting. People who spend time with their gadget start thinking about looking for better benefits. And then next, the last point. The last point is communication. Yes, this is the last point is communication. The development of communication technology is what actually has changed human culture. If Karl Marx assumed that history was determined by the force of production, according to McLuhan, human existence was determined by change in the method of communication. Starting from this theory, digital communication, which has now become part of modern society has succeeded in making change to the life of the people themselves. Digital communication makes people dependent on smartphone. Uh, a concrete example when you wake a concrete example when you wake up in the morning, the cell phone is the first thing to look for, even if it is only for reading message received or status update on social media. Yes, right? Or no? Yes. I think you you answered yes. According to McLuhan, the development of communication technology is the main cause of culture change. According to him, every new technology discovery, starting from the discovery of letter, printing machine to electronic media, will affect the culture institution of society. Next, next, yes. Uh, we can what we can do post COVID 19 effect. We can do one or first reorienting our science and technology development using in, intrinsic best strength. This is unfair to the government, and the second, a strengthening in indigenous value of gotong royong, solidarity in effort to prevent another outbreak. We can see in the province of Yogyakarta, the solidarity, the student council and civil society. This is good for to back up the our government to break out the to versus COVID 19. And the last the point for post COVID 19 effect, and we effort to extending the budget priorities in science and technology. I think enough what we can talk about the role of science and technology, and the conclusion is this is important to use science and technology in this pandemic era. Big data analysis or extending the budget priorities in science and technology. Many important there are many point in the science and technology is very important. We can we cannot to eliminate technology in this pandemic era. We cannot use we cannot just use populism. We cannot just use religion. We cannot use solidarity. But the important to the outbreak the COVID-19, this very important is science is use science and technology. Thanks for your attention. I think enough. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Thank you for the President of Universitas 11 Maret Student Council, Mr. Muhammad Zainal Arifin, for a wonderful presentation. Before I move to the next session, let me highlight some points that have been presented by our speakers. Um, there are 4 key points here that are very interesting to discuss actually. The first one is the past event, and then the second one is the next step to forever, and then the third one is about the leadership cooperation, and the last one is about the technology and decision making. So in the first part, as the speaker said just now, the past event, the contribution of Universitas 11 Maret have done the research. The research is attached on the proposal just now. The proposal title is the penelitian UNS lolos riset dan inovasi untuk COVID-19. So that's the title of the proposal. And then the next is about the next step to forever. So the speakers was talking about the new normal, about the low public perception about the COVID-19, and also the about the next nowadays occurrence. Also the speakers explained just now. And then the third point is the leadership corporations. So the speakers in the presentation, he showed the Mitzer's thesis about the technology discussed right now. So and then the last point is technology and decision making. So there are some point, there are many points actually we can highlight there. So about the bureaucratic reform, virtual governance, rethinking of the science, and information of the big data, information and big data also. Big data is we can do some business with the big data lately actually. So we can behind the COVID-19, there are some plus thing to do for us for our time, yeah, during the COVID-19. So the digital life shifting and also the communication. So the speaker said just now about the communication through the digital, through WhatsApp right now. So the communication system in our daily life has been changing our culture, especially in among us in Indonesia. Thank you for a very great presentation, Mr. Muhammad Zainal Arifin, the President of Universitas 11 Maret Student Council. So without waiting any longer, let's move to the next speakers. I'm sorry, before I move to the next speakers, I would like to say one of the purpose of the, I would like to remind again, one of the purpose of this event is to raise fund for COVID-19, especially for our medical teams who are the frontliners who are fighting the COVID-19 right now. So if you want to donate, you can scan the QR code attached on the screen and also uh, transfer to the account number attached on the screen also. So let's move to the next speaker, the president of Telkom University Students Council, Mr. Santiko Wibowo. The floor is yours.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry. Can you please show my presentation first before I start it? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Santiko, maybe okay,
Oh,
the slide is showing just now.
okay. But I can see the presentation on the screen.
Okay, maybe it takes a little bit longer because the operator still downloading it. So
Okay.
before starting, you are the president of Telkom University Students Council, I know, right?
Yes, of course.
How long have you been how long have you been as a president? It's new or
It's new because the election just in February, and
February?
yes, February.
Oh, so how is the what is the Telkom University Students Council do during the pandemic session during the COVID-19?
Okay, in in this pandemic, we communicate with the Telkom University to just the campus to as can as possible to inform the academic rules to next semester. So we just communicate every day, and we just wait the campus to show the information because all students just wait.
Oh, so are you guys studying online right now or studying? Or you came to campus as usual?
It's online, but I in the near to campus,
Okay.
but the study goes to online.
Oh, so the campus still opens, but the students don't study there. They study
Yes,
online.
the campus it's open. The staff it's going to the office, but the student didn't go to the campus. Just stay at home and study with online.
Oh, okay. By the way, what semester are you now?
I'm sorry.
What semester are you now?
Oh, I'm in 8th semester now.
Oh, you're almost done. We are the same actually.
I'm almost done, but being a president in this university maybe make me graduate
Yeah.
little bit longer.
Okay. Okay, we need to press our brain much
Yeah,
on the
of course.
as a student
It's like that.
president council. I know.
Maybe I study until 9th semester.
Until 9th
I
semester.
hope. I hope.
Okay. Okay. The faster, the better.
No, Pak.
Operator maybe can. Okay. It's because Still downloading the slides uh, from Telkom University is still downloading, so we can talk a little bit more.
It's no problem.
Okay. Are you originally from Bandung or another parts of the
Oh
Indonesia?
no, I, I'm not originally from Bandung. I'm from Surakarta, from Solo, near
Oh, okay.
Universitas 11 Maret, like my friend Mr. Arifin,
Okay.
near that campus. My hometown is near that campus.
Oh, Universitas 11 Maret, Solo, eh?
Yeah, Solo.
So,
Near
what?
near Jokowi hometown.
Okay. Near our president's hometown.
We are the same.
So,
We are same president, but he's
mm,
in the nation and I'm in the university.
okay. Is there any challenge? Is there any challenge becoming a president? Maybe it's so tiring or handling some childish committees. Is it how? How
Of
does it feel?
course, it's so hard, but we must doing the best for our all student in the Telkom University because they choose me, so I must give them the best of me.
Okay. So, what course do you study actually?
I'm sorry.
What course do you study? Course, jurusan.
Oh, course. I'm on business management major.
Okay.
If the presentation cannot be show on, I can explain with my voice maybe without the screen. It's not a
Uh,
problem if the host
um,
cannot.
the moderator, the operator attempts to show your screen right now. But if you'd like to start without the slide presentation, it's okay. It's up to you.
Okay, okay. Maybe to make the efficient of the time, I will start my presentation. It's not a
Okay.
problem for me without the screen presentation.
Okay. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I repeat again maybe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening to everyone. First of all, thank you for the PPE for the opportunity to inviting me here. It is my pleasure to talk with you guys here. My name is Aninditya Santiko Wibowo. You can call me Santiko. And right now, I'm the president of Telkom University Student Council. And I'm going to share my experience related to science and technology, especially in Indonesia. Based on my experience for maybe about 3 years back, that I have been focusing in development of micro, small, medium enterprise in Indonesia, as we call as UMKM. I wish what I'm going to share could be helpful for us all. Let we start. Today, pioneered by the new generation, science and technology advancement in Indonesia has been improving rapidly. The data shown by startupranking.com on 2019, Indonesia is ranked 5 on the country with most number of technology-based companies as Indonesia has more than 2,000 technology-based companies that is running right now. It leads us to think with that very high number, Indonesia has so much potential to contribute on solving COVID-19 pandemic. problem, of course, with technology. For example, what has been done by Telkom University as one of the research and entrepreneurial campus, working hand in hand with Lembaga Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, or we can call it LIPI, they have successfully inventing the first autonomous robot UVC mobile robot AUMR in Indonesia. This robot is function to disinfect and sterilize an isolated room with the use of ultraviolet radiation type C. Autonomous robot UVC mobile robot, or AUMR, can minimize the risk of medical worker from getting infected by the coronavirus, as they are one of the people who work on the very front line in fighting the coronavirus. The virus by treating patients of COVID-19. Furthermore, the improvement on science and technology can be focused on the medical fields, or maybe on the food chains and natural resource. And let's we talk about the role science and technology might play in Indonesia to prepare its global engineering leaders in the new normal, because we must face the new normal. I think good quality of leader is shaped from his or her way of handling obstacle, including when it comes to science and technology. Technology has a very strong impact on our daily life. Daily life. Therefore, a smart leader can utilize and adjust within the fast technological advancement to be able to make a better decision making. So we make a decision making based on the technology, of course. In this new normal era, oftentimes a decision making process needs to be done as fast as possible, of course. Yet it also need to be precise, and when a leader fail to adapt on the fast acceleration of the technology, the risk of him or her who is being the leader making the wrong decision is very high. Is a risk for a leader, of course, when he cannot adapt on the acceleration of the technology. So maybe him or her will make wrong decision in the decision making. And maybe in the last of my presentation, we can analyze on which technology mostly influence in Indonesia in the decision making process to prepare the global leader, of course. And we can talk about how to solve problems and accelerate the national development after this pandemic, of course, because we must develop this nation after this pandemic, and we must move faster and faster. Uh, After this pandemic, hastening the investment of medical infrastructure as well as stimulating economic growth should be a priority. Technological development should also support in this biomedical engineering, use of Internet of Things, or we can call it IoT, in the construction of infrastructure and wood fields. A focus on most importantly economic welfare, where a small-scale home industry are enhanced by program and automation. Therefore, to be a global leader, one that will influence national change and growth, we must learn, understand, and resolve the issues that emerge in this pandemic so we can accelerate the national development after this pandemic. I think that's all of my presentation. Maybe we can discuss more in the next session. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Santiko Wibowo, the president of Telkom University Students Council, for the uh, wonderful presentation. So, I would like to highlight a little bit about the key points that have been presented by our speakers. So, about the science and technology advancement in Indonesia, the potentials against pandemic and to overcome the COVID-19 domino effect, and also the possibilities to impact the world. So, in the industry, the technology is widely used right now, such as the IoT, Internet of Things. We can control anything with that. Also, not only the industry, almost everyday life. Our everyday life is, we can say that uh, the a person who more knowledgeable about the technology, uh, he or she has a potential to lead the world or country. So, really interesting presentation from Santiko Wibowo. Uh, okay, next, uh, we will come to the discussion session. But before I do that, I would like to recall the first speaker, Birawa Ananditya Wicaksono, the president of Institute Pertanian Bogor Student Council. And also, I would like to recall the president of Universitas 11 Maret Student Council, Mr. Muhammad Zainal Arifin, and also to my sister, the first moderator, Sister Sabil, to join me on the screen. Okay. So now, let's come to the, before I come to the discussion session, I want to remind again the purpose of this event. So in order to help our frontliners who are fighting in COVID-19, you can help us to donate by scanning the QR code or transferring it through the account number attached on the screen, below the screen on the left, on the right corner. Sorry. So, Sister Sabil, you can start the discussion right now.
Okay, we are going to the discussion questions. For the first question, which technologies from Indonesia and abroad do you believe can minimize the risk of COVID-19 in all aspects? Are there any Indonesian technology that can contribute to the nation and the world in pandemic and post-pandemic time? Okay, to Mr. Wicaksana, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Sabil, for the question. It's really great question, honestly, and I would like to answer it with our recent technology development, but not in Indonesia, but in the world. In order to combating COVID-19, Google and Apple already joined cooperation to make the technology to use Bluetooth to track down the movement of people, so we can minimize the risk of infecting someone with COVID-19. But in Indonesia, I believe the solution is much more complex because, as you can see, that we are integrated with social and our social structure is really complex. Uh, we like to talk about our tetangga, our friends in the back. So it's really really complex, and in usually in the market is really crowded here. So for me, the technology that can be used to solve the pandemic right now is honestly the big data. The big data until now still being the most poor. I think is the most poor sector in technological advancements that Indonesia developed until right now. But it could help us because if we can analyze the movement, we can track down the movement, not people in other country, but Indonesia, because Indonesia I think have a uniqueness in their own movement. So we need our own way to resolve it. So I believe it's a big data because if we, like I said before, if we can track down the movement, if we can see the pattern behind how in person to person in Indonesia movement, we can see the pattern there. Like if in the Sunday morning, usually there are many young mother who go to market, and that in the Monday morning there will be father who go to outside. I think this is the pattern. If we can analyze it, it can be used for better judgment. For this judgment is important because I think what happens right now is not the lack of disciplines of our civilized person, but it is the lack of implementation of any policy that have been implemented by our government in Indonesia. And I believe the big data can be the solution to make a better policy about it. And about the technological advancement in Indonesia that can be showing abroad in other country. I believe it's still also the big data because big data resolve in big movement in the big picture, and Indonesia have this resource for me, but it's not integrated just yet. So I believe that is the solution. Back to you, Sabil.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wicaksana, for the answer. Okay, for the next, I think Mr. Arifin, time is yours.
Okay, I think there are many Indonesian technology that can contribute the nation and the world in a pandemic and post-pandemic or new normal time. I want to talk and I want to spend the contribute the ventilator from Salman ITB. The ventilator I technology is the result of collaboration of the Salman Mosque and Unpad University. We see hospital lacking ventilator for COVID patient because the price of the device is very expensive at around 500 million, and the result of this work take a budget of around 10 million. This we can see this is the price of device is very expensive. Yes, this tool is important to recovery of COVID patient because the number of COVID patients continues to increase. We must prevent these patients from dying due to limited equipment. Besides that, many countries complete to find COVID-19 patient. This is the country of Indonesia needs to show its strength to the world, and that Indonesia can make its own vaccine with the result of independent research, independent material, independent science and technology, as well as from biodiversity. And this is uh, Indonesian thanks to the world. And I think and I want to spend our quotes from the inventor of the ventilator site. He said, "It's better for me to the standing to make a tool rather than the to my knees." Yes, this is my quote, and when in very very good for our country. He said, "It's better for me to the standing to make a tool rather than die to my knees." I think that for the question why how Indonesian technology or that contributes to the nation and the world when the pandemic and post pandemic new normal era. I think enough.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. for the answer. The next, please, to Mr. Santiko Wibowo. Time is yours.
Okay. First, thanks for the question, Sabil. And I think the explanation from friends with Taksana and Mr. Arifin is enough, but I will improve little bit. When we are talking about technology, it is also it touches with our daily life. With all of the acceleration of technology in this era, in my humble opinion, the utilization of technology for minimizing the risk of COVID-19 could be focused on the health area. For example, with the utilization of artificial intelligence for supporting medical field, pharmaceutical field, research, and etc. Furthermore, the utilization of technologies such as big data processing could also be very potential to help minimizing the risk of COVID-19. Just like in Indonesia, for me, Indonesia are very possible to contribute in technology to the nation, even to the world. It can be seen from the growth of tech startup in Indonesia that went up significantly, and I also believe that could be our good signal that Indonesia could bring positive impact to the world in many aspects, including technology. I think that's my answer.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Santiko Wibowo. And the second question will be read by Mr. Zai.
Thank you, Sabil, for the time given. And let's come up with the next discussion. So I have a questions. Okay, the question will go this way. Uh, uh, of course, we know about the technology in our country. What special, what the technology of Indonesia specializes in. So, in which sphere or which sector should Indonesia focus on boosting their science and technology to develop the nation based on its characteristics and become the leader of the world? We know there are many co-founder from Indonesia, such as Nadiem Makarim, Gojek, co-founder of Gojek, and then Bukalapak, Ahmad Zaki. There are many. So in which sector specialize? So first, okay, we will start from Brother Santico first, because before we will start from Brother Wicaksana. Time is
Oh,
yours.
okay. Thank you, brother, for the question. If we are talking about which pair should we focus for boosting science and technology, of course, it is closely related to research and good education. By focusing our target to accelerating the nation and prepare a global leader, one of the way is by build the underlying good education. It is the foundation. For example, the acceleration for the good educational infrastructure, more appreciation to the teacher and lecturer, and many things like that. Education is also not just focused on the academic side, but broadly, including moral and cultural education, religion, religious education, social education, and etc. So that the hope of the next generation can bring Indonesia to be even better. I also believe that based on the characteristic of the Indonesian state, as we know as Pancasila, not only in the fields of science and technology, but we also have to believe that Indonesia could also be advanced in all aspects. Thank you. I think that's enough about my answer.
Okay, anytime. Thank you very much, Brother Santico. Now I will move to the Brother Arifin to answer the question. Time is yours.
Okay, I want to choose the what kind of the global issue in science and technology. My observing the technology and science issue are relate, related to digital data and infrastructure development. Why digital? In the first, why digital? I choose the priority to the development to our nation. Why digital? Because now we are entering the 4.0 revolution era, and in this pandemic era COVID-19, we are forced to carry out the revolution 4.0. And the second, why data? When I choose data, because from the data we can take a policy. We can take a policy, refer to the book, Everybody Lies. The book Everybody Lies is learn, which explain that the data is very important, such as the case of the victory of Donald Trump, who used Facebook data on American citizen. And finally, is infrastructure development so important? Why I choose that? Because it can back up the economy and food security, or ketahanan pangan, food security. The third choose the three choose about the digital, about the data, about the infrastructure development is many important. Then the the important is the plant biodiversity. Why I explain the biodiversity? Uh, uh, which can be talk about more talk about the plant biodiversity about my explain, but I can explain the plant biodiversity is more than about the digital, about the data, about the infrastructure development. The condition of the COVID-19 pandemic provide an opportunity for Indonesian to have a role in dealing with the global problem. The government can reorient the development of science and technology in Indonesia based on intrinsic strength in the form of plant biodiversity. The search for an development of a new antiviral drug from plant biodiversity will have to involve many science disciplines from into botany, history, biotechnology, medicine, social policy, and economic to be successful. Apart from that, international collaboration is also very much needed to increase the level of success of business looking for the new antiviral drug. I think this answer just is in the important to priority to our nation is digital data, infrastructure development, and plant biodiversity. I think that.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Arifin, for the answers given. So now I would like Brother Wicaksana from Institute Pertanian Bogor to give the opinion about this question.
Well, thank you, Zain. It's really fascinating question. I believe the answer that already answered by by brother Santico and Arivan is right. So until now, we have a two priority right now. It's the education and research, as Santico says, and after that, Arifin says about data. But let me add the three, the third. So it will be three important things that we need to develop in the future. For me, it's finance. Why? Because in our everyday life we cannot avoid from the finance. Now our transaction is moved to being touchless. Usually we have to hold the money to bring something in our house. Now we just need to just tap in our smartphone and then it will come to our house. So the finance basically revolutionalize every aspect in Indonesia. So and it will also affect the research culture, the education culture, and also the data because in the next future, the transactions will be touchless and automation will be the next big thing in finance. And Indonesia need to come up with it. We are not in this. If we want to pursue the industrialization that happens right now, we will be defeated by America and China because we are not the because we just late. We late to be start. We late to start it. If we want to develop agriculture, we are also late. So for me, the financial technology or fintech is the future of Indonesia because we have so many resources. We have what can I say, agriculture, we have livestock, we have fisheries, we have ocean, but we need to automate it so it can be make to be prosper our country. And the finance is the solution because if we can streamline the finance regulation in right now, so the access of money can be distributed evenly in Indonesia. I believe it can make Indonesia growth in the next 10 years and next 20 years ahead. So the golden generation in 2045 will be succeed. I believe the third priority need to be developed is finance. That is Mr. Sain.
Okay, so the key point is about the education, about the big data, and also the financial sector. Okay,
Yes.
so we are still in the discussion session. So next will be led by my sister, Sister Sabil.
Okay, for the next question, what are the challenges and opportunities to prepare Indonesian as global leaders in science and technology? To Mr. Arifin, I think you are the one. You are the first who can answer this.
Okay. Finally, I'm first the answer. Okay. Uh, what are the challenges or an opportunity to prepare Indonesia as global leader in science and technology? I think the challenges are like mixer thesis when I talk the presentation. The challenges are like Mr. thesis. He is the Australia University student, namely the leader of the state's populism, so that uh, living science and citizen who are still conservative. There are two factors of the challenges to prepare Indonesian as global leader. There are two factors. He said Mr. Thesis. The first factor is the government still populism, and the second factor, the civil society is very conservative. The opportunity the opportunity for Indonesian citizen to have a typical mutual assistance or solidarity in effort to prevent COVID to the village level. uh, I want to spend our story in the Solo, in the Jogja, in the Salatika, in the Wonogiri. I think the civil society in their place is very mutual, is very solidarity uh, to the village level. And the less, so the country that is able to prevent and overcome the pandemic is a superpower country. The superpower states in, I think, is not seen from how great the militarity is, but how great is the to overcome the pandemic in its country. uh, I want to speak again. The superpower states is not seen from how great the militarity, but how great is it is overcome the pandemic in its country. Remember, Indonesia has successfully overcome pandemic like bird flu yesterday. I think flu burung. I think Indonesia has successfully overcome pandemic flu burung. I think that just and the last, Indonesia, the big country, uh, the must overcome the pandemic COVID-19 in this country, and we become to the superpower country. Uh, just like America or China, and then the many country and less. I think that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Arifin. For the next, please. Mr. Santiko.
Okay, thank you, Sabil. In my opinion, the biggest challenge for Indonesia to move forward as a global leader in science and technology is on the side of human resource. This is what should concern us all. And I truly believe that the people of Indonesia have the potential to impact the world. However, it certainly needs to be based on a background of nationalism and a strong love for the homeland, so that the main goal is to build the nation. This is certainly something that should be a concern for us to better appreciate our colleagues who have impacted the world, so that they will continue to have a sense of pride in their homeland. When talking about opportunities, I believe that Indonesia actually has enormous potential to have an impact on the world, as I explained earlier. I think that's all. Maybe Mr. Wicaksana can add some on base his opinion.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Santiko. And for the last one, please, Mr. Wicaksana, time is yours.
Thank you, Sabil. Well, I really agree with Mr. Santiko answer. Our opportunity is in the human resource sector, but for me, it's also the trade. The Because human resource is like a double-edged sword. If we can maintain it, it will be our opportunity. But if not, it can destroy us too. Because the human resource in Indonesia will really abundant, and we need to maintain it, and we need to develop it to a certain level to so it can be competed with another human resource in another country. Because as you can see right now, um, many countries in the world right now are not competing in finance or in agriculture on any other sector, but they are competing in human resource sector. That's why now in the globalization era, we are facing with free trade of workers. There are many foreign workers who work in Indonesia, so the competition is fierce right now. That's why if we can maintain it, if we can develop our human resource at a certain level with a certain level of education, it will be really great for us. Because as you can see, Indonesia is actually a really great country for me. There are many innovation. There are many bright-minded people who were born in Indonesia, but uh, it's not enough. It's not enough if we want to compete. If we want to challenge the global challenge right now in another country. So if we want to make our country be more competitive in this challenging era, we need to develop more and invest more in human resource. That's why education that our institution in IPB, in UNS, or in Telkom University is really important factor to develop our human resource. But in the vice versa, if we cannot develop the human resource, then it will be our doomsday, because the abundant human resource need food, need shelter, and need many other things. Human need many things to staying alive. If we cannot fulfill it as a country, then it will be a disaster for us. So that's the threat and opportunity for me. Thank you, Sabil. Hello.
Okay, I think Sabil has the connection problem in her place. So let's keep going with the discussion session. So this time we'll talk about not talk. We'll discuss about the opinion of a person. Okay, of a person who among Indonesian can we consider as a potential global leaders. For example, like CEO of international companies, head of international organization or institution, or world influential businessman, the president, etc. in all fields. What elements of sciences, and technologies help those people build their career? I think we can start from Brother Wicaksana first.
Okay. For me, what is can boost the career of presidency? Then it's come to the basic of the science and technology. It's curiosity, you know. Even though it's not technical, but I believe that if some a good president of Indonesia, good CEO of multinational company need to have a higher curiosity because they are constantly need to have a higher vision and more broad vision than the others. So if we talk about science and technology, we couldn't just talk about the development right now, but we need come down to the fundamental things about the development of science and technology, and that is the curiosity things. And so, if we want to have better leaderships in this era, we need to have a leader who have a great curiosity in their field, not in all field, but in their field. If he or she really interested about agriculture, they need to really curious about agriculture things in Indonesia, how agriculture is developed, and how we can move our agriculture things to much more higher level from the rest. So I believe the in my opinion, in my point of view, we need much more curious leaders in Indonesia, so it can develop our country and develop it with science and technology. Back to you, Zai.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Wicaksana. Now, Brother Santiko, please give your opinion about the question.
Okay, thank you, Zen. For me, personally, actually, all citizens have the potential to become leaders in the world, like Mr. Wicaksana, Zain, Arifin, Sabil, and all citizens have the potential to become leaders in the world. Surely, it was not easy. Maybe we are being a leader in university. It's so hard. Maybe with my brother Wicaksana and Arifin can relate with my opinion, because it needs to have the ability to always discipline, a high consistency to always innovate, and always work harder and smarter. Support by the rapid development of technology in this era, I think it will open our broader horizon in seeing the world. And I do believe all citizens in Indonesia have the potential to become leaders in the world. I think that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Santiko Wibowo, for the very good answer. And now the time's come for Brother Arifin Muhammad. The times is yours.
Okay, I think I think Ridwan Kamil and Anies Baswedan. Why
Oh,
I choose they then because they lead the province by priorities by data analysis. Yes, point this point when I highlight the point is data analysis. The Anies Baswedan is the lead Jakarta province, and Ridwan Kamil lead the West Java province. We saw that in the beginning there was a conflict between the central government and the regional government about over data issue. And then in the finally their name Ridwan Kamil or Anies Baswedan soared and were able to reduce the COVID-19 case in their respective region. Ridwan Kamil and Anies Baswedan make use the data analysis to reduce the respective patient COVID-19 in the region. Meanwhile, the central Java central government is not is not important to use the data analysis. We can see uh, the early government Joko Widodo is not use the data when the Ridwan Kamil and Anies Baswedan is use the data analysis to reduce to the patient COVID-19. I think that.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Arifin, for the answers. Now, back to Sabil for the next discussion question.
Okay, for the last questions, what are the positive and negative effects of foreign technologies on Indonesia? What lessons Indonesia can learn from other countries? And what is the strategy to get transfer of technology and knowledge from abroad? I think for Mr. Santiko Wibowo, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sabil. The entry of foreign technology in this globalization era certainly brings positive and negative impacts. Based on my opinion, the negative impact of cultural difference, for example, in some aspect may be very crossing with culture in Indonesia. So that more or less influence the culture in Indonesia. But of course, this can be overcome with knowledge and self-profession early onto Indonesian citizen, especially to young people, so that they can only choose the positive side. But in the same way, there are also many positive effect that we feel as we can learn like other countries with easy access to technology, communicating between continents and can work together and etc. Then, what should Indonesia learn from other countries? I think the answer is discipline, growing a sense of discipline in its citizen early on is the key to building a nation for me. Then building relation between countries and maintaining the good game of the country is one the way for all countries to work together to help contribute to the advancement of technology and science, of course. I think that's my answer. Thank you, Sabil.
Is Sabil still there? Mm, okay, maybe I'll continue the Sabil session. Next, for Brother Arifin Muhammad, time is yours.
Okay, uh, I want to answer the question. One, the strategy for getting technology and knowledge transfer from abroad. The comparison of Indonesian research and technology budget is only 0.3% of GDP. In the contrast to the other country, such as Malaysia, such as Singapore, such as Thailand, such as the Philippines, uh, the Indonesian research and technology budget is only 0.3% of GDP. Is contrast to other countries such as Malaysia, which is up to uh, 2 until 3% of GDP. This is different, very different. In our country, Indonesian, just 0.3% of GDP, and Malaysian 2 until 3% of GDP. This indicates, from a budget perspective, the extent to which country priority science and technology in natural or natural disaster, just like a grandma size. How does China deal with the coronavirus or related infectious disease? Most of this burden will fall on the shoulder of scientists. They need to study the origin and evolution of various microorganisms, study the laws of the spread, and mathematical models of the human infectious disease, make a more accurate disease warning and tracking system, develop drug, prepare vaccine, and study the basic biological mechanisms of disease. All of the steps on the mission of future scientists. Uh, I want to highlight the answer. I want to highlight the answer. The answer is highlight is the our government is not priorities about science and technology. Why I talk about that? Because Indonesian research and technology budget is only 0.3% of GDP. It's different about the our country in the other country, Malaysian, which is up to 2 until 3% of GDP. This is we can see about the government about priority about science and technology. I hope and the next the government is very uh, priority priority about technology and science. I think that Miss Sabil.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Arifin. Okay, for the next, please, Mr. Wicaksana.
Okay, Sabil. That's a really great answer from Miss Brother Santico and Brother Arifin, and I agree with them. But for me, the problem is not about the budget of the innovation in Indonesia or research in Indonesia, because we need to think about why our government still, if we say, if we use our government point of view, why our government still allocate much less budget for research in Indonesia, when the other country is really what on fire to invest more in research and science. Why Indonesia still didn't need still useless the budget? For me, because it's like in my first presentation, it's not about the amount of innovation, but it's about how much is the innovation can be implemented in our public and in our society. That's the thing that we need to address too. So I believe we need to increase our budget resource and our budget in research, but it's in the parallel time we need to also make the innovation that happen in Indonesia or happening in urban area like Jakarta, Bandung, and etc. To implement it in other rural region like maybe in the village and in the side of the big city. So this is the problem because if the research and science were developed really good and the implementation is really good too in the society, then it won't be any problem. It won't be any problem because the economic growth will be higher, and our education rate also will be higher too. It good, but Indonesia, as in our Indonesia motto is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which is we are different. We have different cultures that makes the communication between culture is really hard. IPB University, like I said before, already have many innovation about agriculture in Indonesia, but to implement it in the society, it's really hard. It's really hard, you know. It's not as easy as I don't say that creating something is easy, but it's not as easy as creating something. It's not as easy as research something or creating something, but the communication thing is also a challenging area. That's why in IPB University we also have a, a study program that advance more in communication, because the communication is a key to diffuse our technological advancement to the village or to the public who doesn't really care about the advancement of technology. That's what our Indonesia country, our beautiful country, is facing right now, and we need to address the problem really soon. That's it, Sabil.
Thank you so much, Mr. Richardson, for the answer. Okay, now the discussion question are over, and we are going to the closing statements. To Mr. Zain, time is yours.
Uh, the closing statement or the Q&A? Closing statement, right? Okay. Now let's move to the last part. But I would like to remind again about the purpose of this event. So one of the purpose is to help the frontliners who are fighting the COVID-19. So in order to do that, we created the open donation. So if you want to donate, you can scan the QR code or sending through the account number attached on the screen. Thank you very much. So now we have come into the last part of this webinar. So the last part is the closing statement from each speaker. So I'd like to give the time first to to Brother Wicaksana, and then the second one to Brother Arifin. The last one is Brother Santiago. For Brother Wicaksana, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Zain. Uh, for my closing statement, I would like to thanks to everyone who still contribute to our beautiful country, Indonesia, which is facing the pandemic right now. The frontliner who are in the front, who defend us from this COVID-19, and also helping the one with COVID-19 to be held again, and to the committee also, and many young people who right now are organizing good things like this discussion and the donation. It's really great, and I hope our thought and prayer are still with the people who are affected by this COVID-19. About technological and science, I believe Indonesia have bright future in the next from now and in the next 1, 2, or maybe 20 more years ahead from now. but it also came with a challenge, and we need to address the challenge right now. So we cannot just sit around. We need to move. We need to learn, and we need to develop ourselves, not in just Indonesia standard, but in the world standard. Because I believe the future we are not competing with Arifin or in the brother Sandiko. We are not competing with each other, but we are competing with many other students who are coming from many developed country, or maybe the country that really developed right now. We will be challenged and competing with them. So we need to challenge ourselves more and more. We need to have more curiosity, and also we must not forget that no matter how far we are from Indonesia, at some point in our life we need to come back in Indonesia to transfer our knowledge, to transfer uh, our information that we receive from other great country, so we can also develop our country in a much better way. I believe we can do it, and the better is if we can do it right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the inspiring closing statement from Brother Wicaksana. Now we move to Brother Arifin. Time is yours.
Okay. And last for the closing, my closing statement, I want to explain the message from Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking regarding the importance of prioritizing sky-tech, science and technology. Stephen Hawking is a theoretical physicist from Britain. He said, as scientists, we are stepping on the shoulder of science. Will deliver work that has come before us, which aims to inspire a new generation of young scientists to continue after we leave. It is Stephen Hawking said. In the last in closing, who will win? Who will win? Science and technology or virus COVID-19? Science and technology continue to fight the virus with the most advanced scale of talk of making today, while pharmacists are trying to find the best vaccine for COVID-19 pandemic. What is the role of the Indonesian scientists? It seems we are still preoccupied with nonsense and technology, while the are busy looking for solution for the benefit of the people. Hopefully, what we discuss find common resolution for our campus. For find common resolution for our campus, resolution for our community, resolution for our country. Apologies is I'm apologies if there are words that are wrong. Thank you for everything. This is my opinion. Thank you for my closing statement. I am apologies if there are words that are wrong. Thank you for everything.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Arifin. And the last closing statement to Mr. Sandiko Wibowo. Time is yours.
First, I will say thank you for PPE who give me a chance to discuss with all of you. It's just my pleasure for me to discuss with Sabil, Zain, my friend Wicaksana, and Arifin. And the last, my closing statement is it's very good for us being a young generation to have a high curiosity and always want to learn new things, such like science and technology, of course. And that is very important on this era. But the important, the more important thing is don't forget to always grow our nationalism because uh, you must always remember that wherever we go to study, wherever we go to work, just remember we have responsibility to build our country, Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the excellent and great closing statement from all speakers. But unfortunately, our time is up and we return the event to our Master of Ceremony, Miss Zahra Daniar.
Thank you very much to all of the speakers, moderators, and viewers who joined us for this event. Before I close the event, I would like to remind everyone one last time that we are also raising funds for COVID-19, especially for our medical team who are at the forefront. Thank you very much to all of you who have already contributed to the donation. Don't forget that we still have more events waiting for you. See you at our next event. Thank you.